The Tigers are sitting pretty as the number 3 team in the nation as they come into the Gymnastics SEC Championship meet this Saturday, March 23rd. And they've been holding on to that top 5 spot the entire regular season. Last week, they wrapped up their regular season with a fantastic win against North Carolina, scoring a 198.250. The PMAC was buzzing as they secured their third straight sellout crowd with over 13,000 fans showing up to cheer them on as the Tigers had their first undefeated home season since 2018. LSU's been dominating the competition, consistently ranking high across all 4 events. Their floor routine especially has been on fire this season, holding the top spot for 5 weeks straight. And we can't talk about this gymnastics squad without bringing up senior all-arounder, record-breaking Haley Bryant, who's been leading the charge with some impressive scores, ranking as the top gymnast in the country for 9 weeks running. But another impressive part of this team, Bryant isn't the only star that we've seen. Kaya Johnson's been killing it, holding steady in the top rankings for 8 weeks in a row, and we can't forget about Aaliyah Finnan and KJ Johnson, who've been holding strong in the floor rankings as well. Even freshmen on the team are making waves. Connor McClain has been climbing the ranks on the beam, breaking into the top 5 just after 4 weeks on the team. Head coach Jay Clark has built an amazing team, and we've seen proof of that all season as they continue their climb to a national championship ring. Who better to talk about this championship caliber gymnastics team other than head coach Jay Clark himself? For today's episode, I'll be bringing on Jay Clark with the news and sports director of the Louisiana Radio Network, Jeff Palermo, and the editor of Tiger Rag, Todd Horne, to discuss the excitement buzzing around this squad and what exactly makes this team so special. This is Camryn Conner, and after this message from our sponsor, you'll be with Jay, Todd, and Jeff.
The East Baton Rouge Library says this is the year to invest in you. The library brings value by connecting you to information, resources, materials, technology, and experiences. We make a positive difference in your life. All you need is your library card. Stop by one of our 14 locations, open 7 days a week, or find us online at ebrpl.com.
It's been a great year for LSU Gymnastics, and here to talk about it is the head coach, Jay Clark, LSU, and the rest of the teams out of the Southeastern Conference will be competing in the SEC Championships Saturday inside the Smoothie King Center. Coach Jay Clark joins us now. Coach Clark, thanks a lot for spending some time with us. I know there's a lot going on in your world as you prepare for this huge meet, but thanks again for your time. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's busy, but I'm glad to come on with you guys and talk about one of my favorite subjects.
It certainly is. I got to ask you about the news that came out today. LSU Gymnastics finishing number 1 in attendance for 2024. Since your arrival here at LSU, Jay, this is something that you've really tried to do. Dee Dee Bro she got the ball rolling. There's no doubt about that. But you've certainly taken it to new heights, no pun intended. Just your thoughts on the amount of support that this program is getting from the fan base.
Well, I knew 12 years ago when I got here that the LSU fan base is just something special. And Dee Dee and I sat down then and just really tried to map out a plan on how we could increase the awareness of our program, increase the entertainment value, really get out there and put it on a calendar so that we were feeding the public a steady diet of what LSU Gymnastics was all about. And over the years, that's continued to grow, as you mentioned. And once you catch momentum, it kind of goes exponentially. So I'm super proud of them, of our fans for supporting us the way they do. I'm proud of the fact that I get to work at a place where the support that we have is so incredibly ardent, and it's a point of pride for us for sure for our program. But I think it's something that our fans ought to really relish in, because they create an environment for us that is just unapologetically unique to South Louisiana and to it's unique to gymnastics, and it's it's really an honor and a pleasure to be a part of something special like that. And so we wanted to put that out there because it is a point of pride for sure.
Well, Jay, before we start talking about the team and the rest of the year with the SEC championships and then moving into the NCAA's regionals and championships, let's talk a little bit more about that crowd, because gymnastics is a unique sport. And what type of competitive advantage does that type of crowd bring into the equation?
Go
ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say, as you guys know, the officials in every sport, are questioned for their subjectivity, whether it's the Saints game when there's a pass interference or where it's balls and strikes on a baseball field. But in our sport, it's even more so, because they're the officials are actually the ones awarding the scores. And so I don't think there's any question that, when you get into an environment like that, the emotion of and the energy of that environment, number one, it drives our kids and they perform at a much higher level. But, I'd be lying if I didn't say that, sometimes we get a little bit of an advantage being in that environment and seeing the way the fans can impact. Look, judges are human and they can get caught up in the emotion and the sounds and the fury of everything around them. So it's a tremendous advantage. It's also very intimidating for the other team to come into that environment. Not many places you go are going to see 12,000 plus fans on a Friday night consistently. And so it's unique. Yes, the sport is unique. But I think our environment is unique to the sport as well, and it's a place that a lot of places want to come because they want to experience it. And we had Ohio State come in this year, and they'd been banging on me for several years to try to come down and compete in this environment because it's good for their kids and to get in that kind of intensity. And it's just something. I don't know if people that haven't been need to experience it.
Right. Right.
It's not quite like going to Augusta National for the Masters the first time, but it is a bucket list thing. I think if you're in the state of Louisiana, you need to get out to a gymnastics meet.
Yeah, it's definitely a spectacle, and it's something you really get it enthralled with it whenever you're there. I can speak firsthand about that. But we talked, Jay, in the preseason, and you were talking about how this team is going to be special. It's got so much depth. So much quality depth, and obviously, you've got your highest season average ever. But you didn't win, per se, the SEC regular season championship, but yet you're the number one seed going into the tournament, so to speak. So how important is the SEC championship to your goals to win the national championship this year, which you obviously are closer than you've ever been to being able to achieve that?
Yeah, I was asked this yesterday in our weekly presser, and I'm not of the ilk that the SEC championship is just kind of an also-ran thing. I think in our sport it is it's in many ways it's the premier event in our sport. It's sometimes harder to win this thing than it is. If you get to the finals, sometimes it's harder to win this one than it is winning that one if you get there. Now, getting there is a different story, but I think it's something it's important to us. It's important to our fan base. It's something that's one of the goals that we set out for ourselves every single year to compete for and to win this conference. Because to do that is impressive. I think we have 6 or 7 teams in the top 12 in the country. So it's a meat grinder of a meet. It's going to be great for the fans. I'm glad we're in New Orleans because we're in an NBA arena, and that elevates the stage of our sport in and of itself. And being in a destination city, I've been an advocate for New Orleans to become at least a semi-permanent home for this thing because I really feel like we need to be, if we continue to grow in popularity, we need to be in destination cities and in NBA and NHL quality arenas. And I'm hopeful that our fans in the New Orleans area and around the state are going to come out and support it this weekend because it is a big deal for us. Now, look, we're the number one seed. The wins and loss thing is what determines the the regular season championship. And in our sport, wins and losses don't determine a whole lot in the regular season because it's really about your scoring patterns that qualify you to the postseason. So we've already locked up that we will be a number one seed at a regional. We just don't know which one we'll go to just yet. And so being the number one seed and having it at home is good, and it allows us to start on vault and get that Olympic rotation that we're used to at home. And so it should be a comfortable place for us. But we're talking about tenths of a point that separate the top four teams in this conference. So it's anybody's meet, and it should be a barn burner.
It's your time to move things forward. U.S. Army Reserve.
Talking with the gymnastics coach for the LSU Tigers, Jay Clark. Jay, what comes first to mind is how well you guys have improved on beam. But what else have you seen from this team during the course of the year that it really looks like it is peaking at the right time and is ready to go and make a strong run for the school's first national championship in gymnastics?
Yeah, I think, the trouble we had early on beam was just sort of early season stuff. I felt like this was going to be a good beam team from the jump, and I don't think there's really any weak event for us. I think bars has progressed of late and gotten a lot more consistent in terms of the way that we're landing and things of that nature. But I think for us, really the sort of the nail in the coffin for everybody else is if we get to floor and we have the lead or are very close to having the lead, our floor team is something to behold. It may be among the best that I've ever seen in my 34 years, 1 through 6, in terms of every single person is capable of going 995 or better, and that's not a normal thing in our sport.
Jay, since you're talking about the best you've ever seen in 34 years, I immediately think of Haley Bryant. Is she the best you've ever seen in 34 years?
Well, she's certainly up there. I would put her, right in the same conversation with Courtney Kupets and one or two others that Sarah Finnegan for sure, was one in that class. I think the thing that makes Haley so special is just the unbelievable consistency that she shows, and it pervades every part of her life. I mean, she is the same person every day. She treats her teammates with the utmost respect. She's humble to the core. She doesn't seek the spotlight. She genuinely wants LSU to win, and it's really not about her. And I think that's a big part of her success, because if she keeps her mind on the big picture and not on her own individual aspirations. And from that standpoint, she's probably the best all time I've ever seen, because she really has her head where it needs to be, and is the consummate team player. And any coach, if they ever had the honor of coaching somebody like Haley Bryant, I mean, they would understand what I'm talking about. She's just all the accolades. She's so deserving, and the things that we say are not enough to describe the impact that she's had on our program.
Wanted to ask you about a couple other girls before we let you go. Obviously, got to ask you about Aaliyah Finnegan and what she has been able to do for your program, and another one that just seems to be at the top of her game. And also, if you could talk a little bit about Kaya Johnson and what she's been able to do coming off that Achilles injury. Yeah,
I mean, you start going down the list of these guys, and there's no shortage of individuals to talk about. But Aaliyah has come into her own. I think last year was sort of her coming out party a little bit as a freshman. We brought her along pretty slow, and then last year she kind of exploded on the scene and became a legitimate all-arounder for us. And then, of course, over the summer and into the fall, qualified for some international meets and then to the Olympic Games in Paris this summer. So that's created a lot of buzz surrounding her, and I think she's just now getting comfortable with that. I think sometimes those things can be distractions, but I think she's learned to deal with all the hype that has surrounded that a little bit, and is really settling into her third season with us. And then Kaya Johnson, what a great story. She's was such a stalwart and a linchpin in everything that we were doing for the first 3 years, and to have her go down last year the way she did was sort of the beginning of what snowballed on us last year. But it was also a catalyst for our team learning how to honor one another with their actions. And it's not just about, what you say, it's about how you go about your business. And we learned a lot of attributes out of that. But for her to come back from her second Achilles tear, the first one happened in high school, and this one last year, and to be at the level that she is again, she really doesn't look as though she's missed a beat. And she would probably say she has, but because it doesn't feel as easy as it once did. But some of that's just age. As we get older, it gets a little harder to do the things they do. They're doing superhuman things that they make look easy. So Kaya's been a tremendous asset as well, and I equate her very similarly to Haley. They're very similar personality-wise, and in that they're humble to the core, they don't seek the spotlight, and they want to give all the credit to the people around them. But at the same time, they make everybody around them better. So Kaya's very much cut from that same cloth. And look, we can't do it without any of them. I mean, it's, as much as Haley gets the press clippings right now as the number one all-arounder in the country and all of that, but there's so many big cogs in our wheel that have embraced their role. KJ Johnson is another one that I don't think always gets the credit that she deserves for just the ferocious way she goes about her job and sets a personality tone for this team. So there's a lot of them, and it takes every one of them to get it done, but we're excited about the group for sure.
So Jay, what's the secret to winning the national championship this year for this team at this point?
Yeah, I think for us, really, it's just about us staying true to the things that we believe about what's brought us this far. We've got to stay in a mentality and a state of mind that is focused on the 5 minutes in front of our face and not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves or not trying to be something that we're not. The idea for us is that everything we've done so far has propelled us to this place, and we have to just stay in a mindset where we can be at or near our normal, and then let the chips fall where they may. I think, at or near our normal is going to be good enough on most days, and if we start trying to press or we start putting our goals or some result, overemphasizing that too much, then that in this sport's so mental, and it's a lot like golf in that way. And if you get too far ahead of yourself, things can snowball out of control on you. So that's the challenge, is to get them to be mentally mature enough to just stay focused on one person, one event, one routine at a time as we go through this process. And that's what got us through last year when we made the Final Four, was when we had, a lot of people wrote us off for dead, but our kids stayed focused on that, and that's what got them there.
Coach, congratulations on a great season. Good luck on Saturday night in New Orleans. Should be an awesome atmosphere inside the Smoothie King Center, and looking forward to seeing you guys in Fort Worth here soon, competing for a national championship.
Well, it should be great. I think they've sold over 11,000.
Wow.
I hope New Orleans will fill that place up.
Yeah, they should. They should. It's a unbelievable event. Thanks a lot, Coach Clark. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
I think that most people that contact the 90-Day Lifeline are looking to be heard and to feel seen.
Anybody that calls here to talk about anything that has them upset, we will talk to them.
Even on our chat and text services, you will be actually chatting and texting with a real person.
We have enough resources to be able to help people in any type of situation.
We have helpline specialists that are trained to handle the variety of calls that we get.
It's a very laid-back thing. We're not judging anybody. We're just a listening ear that some people don't have.
At the beginning of the season, this team said they weren't giving up on their climb from the year before, and by the looks of it, they aren't slowing down in this climb for the national title. With players like Haley Bryant, the 2024 Paris Olympic athlete Aaliyah Finnan, KJ Johnson, Kaya Johnson, and even newer faces to the team like Connor McClain, Jay Clark has put himself and this team in the perfect position to go all the way. The gymnastics team will be competing in New Orleans this Saturday, March 23rd, in the SEC Championship on the SEC Network. Whether you can make it to the meet in New Orleans this weekend or you're watching it at home, This record-breaking team has made it clear that this is a meet you won't want to miss out on watching. Thank you to Jay Clark along with Jeff and Todd for making time to talk about this squad and what they've got going on for this weekend's big SEC championship. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Stay tuned to TigerRag.com for all things LSU sports, and I'll be back later.